We are at the unofficial halfway point, the All-Star break. This week, we're going to take a step back and we're going to look at the body of work, including the horse stables, where we'll take a look at each of our top five pitchers. We're going to spotlight the AL and NL MVP race, and then hit you with some of the classics like Word on Wall Street and Waiver Wire ads. This week on Good Faith and Fastballs. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Good Faith and Fastballs. We are your hosts, Sean from Imperial, aka SFI, and my partner in crime, Zum, aka Zummy. It's good to be back in the chair. It's been a few weeks. Zum, want to start the show? It's great to be back here with you. Know you going through a challenging time in life as a son and a father. You know, you lost your dad recently, and wanted to just let you know we're all thinking about you. We're all pulling together, and it's awesome to be here with you. I've missed you, and it was good to see you the other day. Glad to be back.
Thanks, Sean. Yeah, it's glad to be back. Get the mind off it a little bit. The outpouring of support, and I think I've told you personally, has been pretty incredible. So hey, listen, life happens. Life has a way. We're praying that he's in a better place, and that we're gonna move forward and honor his legacy.
Yeah, absolutely. And I believe he is in a better place. There's a reason why this podcast is titled Good Faith and Fastballs. We're going to lean on the Lord, not just when we need him, but at all times, because, he's good yesterday, today, and tomorrow, and I believe that. So with that, we're going to segue into the horse stables, where we do have the resident horse doctor, Zum himself. So we're going to naturally lead with Zummy. And just, obviously a little foreshadowing here. So we're going to take a look at the horse stables and then the MVP race following. Naturally, there's going to be a lot of the same names, but we do have some different kind of viewpoints. There's a little bit of a variety. But take us away here on the horse stables, your top five arms in fantasy baseball.
I'm gonna go 5-1. And before I start, I'm not gonna sit here and say that this is a world-renowned segment. It might be a locally renowned segment. Hopefully, one day a nationally renowned segment. We do put a lot of work into it, and I think, like I said, as I'm looking at the show notes here, Sean, I like that we kind of have two different metrics when it comes to strikeouts. I have strikeouts in totality. You have strikeouts per nine, so we'll be able to provide both of those. So let's go ahead and get started here. I'm going to start with number 5, and there's going to be some disagreement about where he falls on the list, but it is Christopher Sanchez. Win-loss record of 11-4, ERA 2.62, WHIP of 1.19, 144 strikeouts, and an xFIP of 2.61. He was your National League starter for the All-Star game last night. Got shelled a little bit in the first here. Ben Rice, Cody Bellinger was giving up hits left and right. Guy might just need a break. I think every pitcher on this list, for the most part, has shown signs of kind of wear and tear. But we'll kind of dive into that as we move forward here. So Chris Sanchez is my number 5 guy right now. I have Cam Schlittler at number 4. Sean, you own both Cam Schlittler and Christopher Sanchez, and it has been paying massive dividends for you. Cam Schlittler comes in with a 9-5 record, ERA of 2.05, a WHIP under 1 at 0.93, 137 Ks, and a 3.04 xFIP on the season. He's kind of been the mainstay in that rotation there. In the Bronx, again, treading water while their big bopper and Aaron Judge is out of the lineup there. Number 3, I think I have the ace of the Philly staff at number 3 in Zach Wheeler. Father Time, Old Faithful, coming in at a 10-1 win-loss record. I know he missed a little bit at the beginning of the season. I think he was drafted accordingly, and obviously that pick is paying off dividends right now in our 20-team league, Sean. ERA of 2.13, which which best Sanchez is, whip of 0.89, which best Sanchez is, 108 Ks. I think his Ks per 9 are a little bit higher as well, which I know you'll dive into, Sean, here, and an xFIP of 2.82. I like Zach Wheeler a lot. I think the Phillies obviously are getting hot. I think they are going to end up catching the Braves. The Braves have kind of been treading water and floundering a little bit lately without their star in Ronald Acuna, who obviously we can't count on staying healthy at this point in time. So I can see the Phillies making a real move here. NL East is starting to look like a really, really competitive division, Sean. Number 2, was reluctant to throw him in here just based upon the number of innings. He's pitched about 20 innings less than every other pitcher on this list. It is Shohei Ohtani. Just couldn't leave him off, Sean. 8-2 win-loss, ERA of 1.79, a whip of 0.95, 95 strikeouts, and an xFIP of 3.26. I don't know if we really need to sing Shohei Ohtani's praises. I think I pretty much do that on every single show. Probably the best baseball player that I've ever seen. Probably will go down as the best of all time. Nothing the guy can't do. It's just there's a lot of pitchers out there in LA, and I think they can afford to be a little bit conservative with his inning counts there, which is why you're not seeing as many innings piling up. His bat's starting to pick up as well, so yeah, you'll see him mentioned later on in this episode as well. And then my number 1 guy, I don't know how you don't put Jacob Misiorowski at number 1. 10-4, the Jameson Taillon lookalike, 1.62 ERA, a whip of 0.76. 167 strikeouts and an xFIP of 210. Guys throwing the ball 105 miles an hour. I think we've talked pretty much at length about him in the recent past regarding, he's pretty slender. The frame isn't necessarily all there. I was listening to the interview that they gave him between innings last night. Kind of seems like a dork, to be honest with you, which is fine. He's saying that he trained a whole ton this offseason, put on a lot of weight, which I guess I haven't gone back to look at what he looked like last year, but throwing 105 is no joke. But that obviously comes with kind of where we're at right now, Sean. I think, with the fatigue, shutting him down for that Sunday finale series in Pittsburgh, not letting him pitch against Skeens on that Sunday matinee game. Is this a sign of things to come for Jacob Misiorowski as a Pirate fan? I hope so. As a baseball fan, I hope not. I think it's undisputed him being at the number 1 point at this point in the season. There's nobody right now who's doing what he does. 105 is pretty much unreal. I go back in the day when Aroldis Chapman was coming in for 1 inning for the Reds, and he almost beat McCutchen with 105 up and in, and that's 1 inning, that's a few pitches. He's doing this throughout the entirety of the entire game. It's just never been seen before. I think you got to slot him in at 1. The Brewers, though, right now are dealing with some pretty exhaustive injuries. Kyle Harrison just recently went to the IL as well. Brandon Woodruff, I think he's on his 3rd IL stint in Brewers land. So is there trouble brewing, if I may, up in Milwaukee? Are they going to make a push here at the trade deadline to get some reinforcement of arms? Hard to say. But Sean, I'm gonna flip it back over to you, let you kind of talk through your list as well, and then we can have some banter back and forth.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of similarities here, maybe a little shuffling, maybe a name or two that we've left out that we could talk about. But let's start at 5. This is a Zummy guy that Zum's like to spotlight in the past. I've overlooked him up until this point, but I'm going to start with Chase Burns, the hard-throwing right-hander of the Cincinnati Reds. Ultimately, what got him on this list for me was his 11-1 record in fantasy baseball. Wins, although sometimes they're lucky. For example, Braxton Ashcraft the other day gave up 5 earned runs but walked away with the win, which is nice. And Chase Burns has racked up 11 of them with only 1 loss. So ultimately, that's what got him on this list. 2.54 ERA, 1.11 WHIP. The K per 9's at 10.34. xFIP, which I am a big believer in proof of, was Jesus Luzardo, who we've preached for weeks to pick up, and now look how well he's turned out to be. Chase Burns, the xFIP 3.58, which would be considered good across the board with Major League Baseball. However, compared to some of these other names, he is the lowest out of those. But Zummy, if you take Ohtani out, I'm looking at our top scoring pitchers in our league, which is an ESPN league. If you take Ohtani out, Burns is 5th highest scoring pitcher in baseball. And number 4 is actually this next fella. Zach Wheeler of the Philadelphia Phillies, 10-1 record, 2.13 ERA, .89 WHIP. K per nine is 10.45, xFIP 2.82. What's there to say about him at this point? Father Time hasn't caught up to him. He dealt with a pretty significant injury last year, the shoulder impingement that he's come back beautifully from. Clearly, he was a little ticked off that he was left off the All-Star game, and then they were going to invite him. Kind of a desperate attempt to invite him, which he turned down. I kind of respect that. Mr. Zach Wheeler coming in at 4 for SFI's horse stables. Then maybe a little SFI propaganda here at 3-2. Naturally want to raise the stock level while I could. 3 is Cam Schlittler of the New York Yankees, 9-5 record, 2.05 ERA. The WHIP 0.93, K per nine 10.39, and that xFIP solid 3.04. Zummy, he's been incredible. I think he's probably the best pick I had in the draft. Got him in the 5th or 6th round. He's going to get Judge back soon, eventually. Now, what kind of Aaron Judge is that? Time will tell. But he does that Yankees offense. Although right now they've been quiet, they've been struggling. There is plenty of power, and pop in that lineup. You got to expect them to make a trade or two at the trade deadline. So I'm thrilled to have Cam Schlittler as part of the Freemason Freddies. And another Freddie is Christopher Sanchez. Again, the record is a lot of luck, but you got to factor it in, and that's why I'm going to keep him at 2. 11-4 record, 2.62 ERA. The WHIP, he does tend to let batters spray singles across the field. His WHIP is 1.19, but he ends up stranding those runners because his K per nine 10.18 and the xFIP 2.61. He's really doing it with 2 pitches. He has the sinker, which is essentially his fastball, and then he has the changeup. But his delivery, the spin rate, just how he's able to sequence his pitches with just those 2, we as Pirate fans have seen it up close and personal. His ceiling, and this Philadelphia Phillies team. It's funny they struggled out of the gate. They fire their manager, bring in Don Mattingly, and I think they're one of the best teams in the NL. If there's one team that kind of scares me as a Pirate fan, it is the Phillies. I think they are legit. And then number 1 is easy. Jacob Mizorowski, the flame-throwing right-hander for the Milwaukee Brewers. 10-4 record. The ERA below 2 at 1.62. The WHIP all the way down to 0.76. His K per nine in another stratosphere, 13.54. And look who has the best xFIP. It's Jacob Mizorowski at 2.10. Zom, let's just jump into the banter right now, and we'll start with Mizorowski. Now, all right, he's thrown easily 102, 103, 104. He's pumping those miles per hour consistently, right? And if there's one thing I've noticed with him, as far as like trying to find optimism when you face him, because let's face it, the Pirates, are going to play some meaningful games against the Brewers, whether that's in the regular season or postseason. So there's a good chance we're going to be staring down the barrel of Jacob Mizorowski. So if there's one thing I could kind of that gives me optimism facing him is, he throws 104, 105, but it's straight. So those fastballs aren't really eating like an AJ Burnett or a Greg Maddux that they kind of trim the corners and there's some tail to it. Maybe like a Paul Skeens when he's dominant. These fastballs look like they're straight, and when you do run into them, they go a long way.
He's it's a good point. I mean, 104, 105 is 104, 105. That being said, he has been victim of the long ball his last 3 outings. I know my boy Sal Stewart got to him 2 starts ago, but he's given up 5 home runs in his last 3 starts. So I don't know. Looking at that, his one of his most recent starts, his ledger only shows 1 earned run, but I know he gave up 5. So he was getting hit all over the place. So ERA obviously is what it is. It's earned. They're deeming this as unearned. I watched the play. I could argue that those could be earned runs as well. So, I think like all these pitchers, I think they're all starting to show kind of holes in the armor a little bit. But what I will say here is, looking at your list, Chase Burns would be my next guy on there for sure. And like I said, I had a hard time putting Ohtani on just based upon the number of innings. But every time he's out there, it's just electric. You know what you're getting with him. And then Zach Wheeler, all I'll say about him is, looking at his Savant page, it is flamethrower red all the way down. And you could argue, Sean, that this is the best season that he's put forth so far. So, the Phillies needed him. He's a real shot in the arm. Like I said, I think by the time the season is over, I think that I'm going to say that he's probably going to be the horse in that stable in Philly. So just how can you argue with the success that he's had lately? So just outside of that, I think we've kind of chatted through, Schlittler and, Sanchez, just because they've been mainstays on this list for a while. I mean, Wheeler wasn't on here for a while just based upon the injury and how he kind of came back. Burns was on the last version of the horse stable. I obviously think very highly of Chase Burns, but man, the Cincinnati Reds after that torrid start they had, man, they've been the worst team in baseball since then. So God bless. We wish them well, but enjoy the basement for now.
Yeah, honorable mention from me, Gavin Williams. He has 10 wins for the Cleveland Guardians. He's having a tremendous season. Zomi, let's talk Paul Skeens.
Sure.
It's a great topic for sports talk radio, and so we've kind of disagreed on him over the last, I'd say, 2 months. Obviously the first game of the year was a nightmare in New York, so got off to that awful start, and then he went on a Paul Skeens tear, got his numbers where they were supposed to be, but then following that, the Pirates I think lost 8 straight games where Paul Skeens started. Is that accurate?
It is.
And so
not all on him, but yeah, I mean some on him.
But that's a tremendous stat that 8 games in a row the Pirates lost when Paul Skeens starts. That's almost unbelievable. Now I think it's obvious to see his velocity is obviously dipped a touch. And I think that can make a difference for a pitcher. Even though when he's dipping, it's dipping to 97, which is different than dipping to 91. However, I think he's maybe pitching to a little more contact, just philosophically, to try and extend his outings, which we've talked about on this podcast before. Is his rookie year and his second season, he kept running into the high strikeout numbers, but then the pitch count was too high. So we could see a Paul. This is maybe Paul Skeens 2.0, but ultimately, I do still have a ton of faith that he will get back into my stables before the end of the year. I have faith in Big Country, but yeah, it has been, I would say, what's the word I'm looking for? Not annoying, but maybe just a little worrisome over the last month or so, just because you're like, all right, like 4 or 5 bad starts in a row, no way there's gonna be another one, and then it came, and then, they kept coming. But the last 2 he's looked good. In the most recent, he got a barrage of runs where it ended up being a mercy rule practically. But what's your thoughts and opinions on the hometown guy Paul Skeens?
I'm not a huge fan of Paul Skeens 2.0, to be honest with you. I don't know. I mean, disclaimer, I'm obviously from here. I want him to be Paul Skeens 1.0. I want the reigning Rookie of the Year and the Cy Young to kind of show back out where we need him to be. I mean, he's been inundated this year with runs. I don't have it pulled up in front of me right now, but he has gotten a ton of run support, and his record, again, it's not necessarily a pitching stat, but he has gotten a ton of run support. He hasn't showed up in a handful of his starts where we've expected more from him. And again, the velocity is concerning to me. If we're talking philosophical change, are we talking organizational philosophical change? Are we talking Paul Skeens philosophical change? I don't know. I've heard I've heard theories surrounding ABS and being able to nibble in the pass and get the calls versus now being computerized and not taking as much risk to get people to chase. I don't know, but the velocity thing, it still concerns me. I think that's the number one indicator when you're looking at fatigue and you're looking at prospective arm issues. That just concerns me. And face it, I mean, I don't think he's been their best pitcher. I think Braxton Ashcraft has been their best pitcher. Obviously it's a pretty formidable 1-2 if you can get them both right, but we're going to need him down the stretch. We're going to need him to get back to where he was. We're going to need him to sign up for 7 innings, 4 hits, 8 Ks, 1 run. Like, that's the kind of stuff that we need. We need that consistently, and I think that's fair to expect just based upon the groundwork that he's laid so far. So again, he hasn't been in my stables for a while. I think, obviously having the superior intellect to see these things for what they are. I'm not a fan of version 2.0, Sean. Not right now, but hopefully, this break here over the All-Star break will get him where he needs to be, and hopefully we open up in Cleveland on Friday with, a great pitching performance. That's all we can hope for.
Yeah, and just 2 thoughts that popped into my head as you were elaborating on Paul Skeens. Shout out Nicholas Harry Callis, who went viral for a second.
Shout out, Nick. Way to go, Nick.
Yeah, with the Paul Skeens Mechanics video, went over north of 1 million. So shout out Harry Callis.
Wow.
But we've talked about it, in that video. The thing that stuck out to me, and a lot of the Japanese pitchers will do this move to generate velocity. It's that glove tap, right? So in the delivery, in the motion, there's a moment where they tap the glove, kind of like Tom Brady patting the ball before he would throw it. It generates energy. That has gone away in the Paul Skeens Mechanics, so something to keep an eye on. And then I do have not necessarily a trivia question, but just want to ask you, it's a guess here, but I do have it in front of me, the top K per base on balls in Major League Baseball in 2026. Care to take a guess where Paul Skeens ranks in all Major League Baseballs in Ks per base on ball ratio?
I mean, I know he doesn't walk many guys, so that's naturally going to drive that ratio up. I think he's only walked. I mean, I'm going to guess here about the walk. I think I heard 27. Is 27 right?
Well, I just want to rank as far as.
No, I get the question. I get the question.
Is 27 right? What? How many times number
of walks?
Stand by. I can get that information for us.
Yeah, that's fine. So, I mean, his K numbers are down, but in relation to walks, I don't know. I would probably say his ratio is close.
He has 24 walks. Walks.
So even if he had 120 Ks, that's 5. That's a ratio of 5. I would say 5 would put him.
Are you a numbers guy?
I've studied finance and I actively work in finance.
Guy here.
Yeah, that's what people say. I don't know. I'd put him third. And I'd say the ratio is probably around 5.
All right, so you were right on the ratio. It's 5.42. He is 6th. And I'll give you the pitchers that are in front of him: Cam Schlittler, Jacob deGrom, Christopher Sanchez, Drew Rasmussen, and Jacob Mizorowski. So, word to Bucco fans, just like hitters, pitchers go through slumps, right? This game of baseball has been around essentially forever. And it was here before we got here, and it'll be here when we're gone. And these guys go through slumps, and they come back because the pedigree is there. He's a national champion. He's a Rookie of the Year. He's a Cy Young. He's big country Paul Skeens, and I have tons of faith in him getting back into both of our stables. I believe that by the end of the year, he will be back in some stables because he's going to force himself back into the stables with his performance. I believe that.
Wow, what a segment! What a segment!
Let's ride that wave and take that right to the hitters. I'll lead us off since you did the pitchers, and so newsflash, a lot of the same players here, but that's all right because these hitters have separated themselves from the field, and we're going to give them their moment in the sun. So Zami, without further ado, we'll start in the American League. Again, these are obvious ones. The front runner. We'll go 3-1 here, Zumbi. 3-1. Ben Rice, the New York Yankees, first baseman / catcher eligible, which is huge for Mr. Rice in fantasy baseball, getting to slot him in at catcher where he essentially never plays actually for the Yankees. 279 batting average, 971 OPS, 29 dingers, which is a ton. 68 RBI, 64 runs, and 2 swipes. He is the 6th highest scoring hitter in fantasy baseball right now. Going to continue here. Junior Caminero, who I love, 279 batting average, 927 OPS, 28 homers, 59 RBI, 61 runs scored, and 2 swipes. Another guy that's not going to really douse you on the base pass, but he makes up for it with his power. And then the number one AL MVP candidate, it's obvious, it's Yordan Alvarez. It's incredible that he is clearly a power hitter because he has 31 home runs, but the batting average is at 318, OPS 1.059, 70 RBI, 65 runs, and 1 swipe. So these are some serious sluggers here. Zum, why don't I'll volley it over to you. You give your AL folks, and then we'll talk about it, then move over to NL.
All right, number 3, I have Junior Caminero. I'm not going to read these stats off because SFI just went through them. Caminero 3, Ben Rice 2, Alvarez 1. Just real quick on some of these notes here. I think Ben Rice and Caminero, similar stat lines, fairly interchangeable. They're headlining the 2 best teams in the AL right now. Ben Rice, I slotted him in ahead of Caminero just because it sounds weird saying the Yankees don't have a huge supporting cast right now, but Ben Rice has been carrying that offense and keeping the Yankees afloat while Judge has been out. So that's why I kind of gave him the lean on number 2. Yordan Alvarez, though, so every morning, I get the Space City home network, and every morning I come downstairs, my son wakes up before me, he's watching the Astros play, and we've gotten to the point now where he knows exactly who Yordan Alvarez is. He knows why Yordan Alvarez is as good as he is, and he counts on him to hit the ball hard every single time that he's up to bat. And so it's just, I haven't seen a guy, it's like you said, when you see the numbers pop up in terms of power production and those metrics, 31 home runs, 70 RBIs, you expect to see 240, 250 a la Kyle Schwarber, a lot of strikeouts. But no, he's, as weird as it is to say, he is a contact hitter as well that has the power in his game. They're out of the playoff. They're not. I guess nobody's out of the playoff race in the AL for the most part right now. But I don't see the Astros, and I think we were both on that wagon early on in the season, Sean. I don't see the Astros making it to the playoffs, but I still see Yordan Alvarez running away with this, and I don't think it's going to be particularly close. Short of an injury or short of something happening, what he's done in the first half of the season has been truly remarkable.
Yeah, and I think as far as Caminero, Rice, Caminero, I don't think there's necessarily a right answer. Ultimately, why I went with Caminero at 2, he's on a tear as of late. So since I just pulled some numbers since June 1, so Alvarez OPS 1.075, Caminero 1.002, Rice at a respectable 8.53. And then for Caminero's last 19 games, he has 13 home runs in his last 19 games. So he did take a fastball off the hand last night in the All-Star game. They did say X-ray's negative, but I think he's the best right-handed hitter in baseball. I was taking a look the other day at all the superstars. He is the best right-handed hitter in baseball. And I think he's only 23 years old. So
he is, and what he did at the WBC was incredible as well. The show he put on there and just kind of carried into the season. He started off cold. It's like you said, he's had 13 home runs very recently. So he started cold. People who held and kept the faith that he was going to turn into what he is now are being handsomely rewarded. And again, he's the bopper in that lineup. And back to Alvarez real quick. There's one guy right now that is keeping him from winning the Triple Crown in the AL. Do you want to go ahead and guess, Sean, who that guy is? If you had to guess. And you might know.
In the AL? Is it the Vargas from the White Sox?
It's not. No. I'll give you one more because we're not going to spend too much time. I'll give you one more. Vargas is batting 245, by the way. 245.
The Triple Crown. I don't know. I'll just say Ben Rice.
No, Giandy Diaz. Giandy Diaz is batting 322 right now. Jordan Alvarez 318. If Jordan Alvarez gets ahead of Giandy Diaz, he will be in pole position for the Triple Crown, which I don't believe they said has happened since Miguel Cabrera, I believe was what I heard on the broadcast last night.
Yeah, I remember that. He was special.
Yeah, not surprising. So again, just kind of bears the fruit of what we're saying here. He's just been on an absolute tear.
Why don't you do the honors with the NL MVP since we got the same ones, and we'll crank them out.
Same three names again. So I think it's a 1-horse race. I think it's going to be a 1-horse race for a while. But it doesn't take away from what these other two guys have done. Number 3, I have PCA. I'll get to him in a second. 291 batting average, 917 OPS, 21 home runs, 53 runs batted in, 63 runs, and the thing that sticks out, 24 bags being stolen. So he has been on an absolute heater. Shout out to Remmer. Remmer kept the faith with PCA.
His team is loaded.
He's not going to win it. Don't worry about it.
I was looking today. He's got 2 of these 3 hitters, and then he's got great pitchers, and then he's got Acuna coming off the IL.
I think he is.
He's loaded.
I think he is. I think he has 2 really good pitchers. I think outside of that, I'm not really worried about it. Acuna.
I hope you're right.
Acuna's made of glass. Listen, he's not going to win it. The best team rarely does. So, anyways, PCA, right. He's been good. I don't like him as a player. I wouldn't have drafted him. I'm still
well documented. It's well documented.
I'm not willing to trade for him. I'm gonna give him his flowers. He's been really good as of late, at least. What he's doing is
24 swipes.
He's special. Yeah, he's special. Just not a huge fan of his game overall. Number 2, like if it wasn't for Ohtani, I think this is a runaway with number 2. James Wood, Bolsh. Shout out Bolsh. Love you, Bolsh. 279. The number that sticks out here to me, so not the 985 OPS, while it is very special, it is the 89 runs scored, Sean. 89 runs scored for the tied for first best offense in baseball right now. Tied with yours truly, Pittsburgh Pirates. James Wood has 89 runs. Do you want to go ahead, Sean, real quick and guess what the next number is in terms of runs?
Is Nico Horner still up there?
He is not in the top 20, but there are 3 Cubs in the top 20.
All right, Pete Crow Armstrong has to be up there.
PCA is number 10 with 63.
And it's another Cubby?
No, it's not a Cubby.
Run score. Oh, maybe is his teammate Abrams?
No, so we'll move on from this. Abrams is not in the top 20. Number 2 in runs scored is yours truly, Brian Reynolds, Pittsburgh Pirates with 68.
Oh my
so
gosh.
68's number 2. He has 89. He has 21 more runs scored than any other player in baseball. The number of times that I've recently logged into the app to see what the Nationals are doing, I think he's at least hitting 2 leadoff home runs, maybe even on the first pitch in back-to-back games or roughly thereabout. So he's aggressive at the plate. He's swinging a good bat. We're hoping that he doesn't fall off like he did last year after the home run derby. He didn't partake this year, so maybe his swing will be back to where it needs to be. They're in the race with the Pirates too, though, but I could honestly see the Nationals selling. It's just kind of what they do. 64 RBI, 15 stolen bases, so he's stealing bags too. I mean, he's pretty much the real deal up there at number 2. But again, how can you take away from Shohei Ohtani at number 1? 293 batting average, 952 OPS, 65 runs, 22 home runs, 58 RBI, 6 stolen bases. When you look at that and you just compare them line by line, James Wood is superior in 5 of the 6 categories. It's a team thing. It's a reputational thing. It's just not going to happen for James Wood this year, even at this pace. Shohei Ohtani will win the NL MVP, and I don't think that it will be particularly close this year.
I'm stunned that Brian Reynolds is second in Major League Baseball in runs scored.
Have you looked at what he's been doing? It's been
awesome.
It's been insane. It has been incredible.
Been cranking it. Not a ton to add here other than I was 1 year earlier on James Wood. I had him last year. He goes to the home run derby, screws his swing up, and ruined the second half, which scared me to draft him this year. And Bolsh, I think, got him. Let's just look right now. I want to say he got him at like 60-something. Stand by. He got him at 61st overall. Right off the top of the dome. James Wood slips to the fourth round in our 20-team league, and Bolsh is reaping the benefits. Yeah, he still strikes out a little bit, but it's not as bad as it was last year. And then he still has the 15 stolen bases, which is just like worth its weight in gold. When you're hitting 28 bombs, you got 89 runs scored, and he's on a good offense with the Nationals. It's a shame they, I guess they're in the wild card race, just like the Pirates are.
Sean, his last 6 games, fantasy points scored, 16, 8, 6, 10, 7, 7, with 5 home runs and 8 RBIs.
Yeah.
5, 7, 9, 11 runs scored. Just incredible.
Anytime you get those big left-handed power hitters that can also hit left-handed pitching, I know he can because I would watch him last year go left on left and hit bombs. Those are the guys that go to the moon. He's going to be a fixture for years and years and years in fantasy baseball, and I would guarantee he is a first-round pick next year.
Yeah, maybe not in a 12, but definitely in a 20.
Yeah, in our league. All right. And then, Ohtani, hey, you're the man. You're the best player in the world. I'm kind of sick and tired of talking about you. And next year, I think he needs to be 2 players in our league because he's now pretty much doubling hitter 2, which is outrageous.
I think we petition for that, and I think maybe we lay the groundwork for that in fairly short order.
It's time to start planting that seed here soon. Yeah. I don't want to sound like a whiny little bitch, but he's doing 2 jobs for one.
It's night and day. It's night and day. It's not even close.
Correct. All right. Well, that was a good segment on the MVP race. We'll continue to track that, but let's get back to the critically acclaimed, the world famous Word on Wall Street. Zami, we have been getting some feedback from our many fans, viewers, listeners around the world. And I think these 2 segments here, Word on Wall Street and then followed by the waiver wire pickups, this is really kind of the value and the nitty-gritty of the podcast that you can walk away from to improve your ball club. We do put some thought into these to provide you some numbers and some guys that are going to make your team better. So, Zami, we'll start here with 3 sell-high pitchers. Oftentimes, we are buying low, but here at the halfway point, thought it'd be a good idea to dump some stock, to sell high on some stock. So first is Eduardo Rodriguez. And here, Zami, I will like to preface the stats that I'm about to deliver is from 6/15 onward, so about a month's worth of data here, and you'll see there's a trend with all 3 of these pitchers, and then we'll dissect. But first is Eduardo Rodriguez, 32 2/3 innings pitched, a 3-1 record, 1.65 ERA, WHIP 1.17, K per 9 is pretty weak, 5.23. But you'll see the theme here that I'm about to touch on, xFIP and BABIP, right? These are numbers that we talk about constantly, and it is a good indicator of actual ERA, and it shows whether they are lucky or unlucky. And all 3 of these pitchers right now, from our vantage point, we think are kind of capitalizing on some good luck in the last month that have landed themselves on the sell high. Because the xFIP with Eduardo Rodriguez, 4.55, the BABIP, 0.229. So as far as the xFIP kind of meter and indicator, you want to see that as far as I kind of draw the line at 4. If it's 4 and below, I'm like, all right, you're a good pitcher. If it's above, red flag. So Eduardo Rodriguez, sell high. Same with these next 2. Trevor Rogers, 24 1/3 innings pitched, 3-0 record, 0.74 ERA, 1.31 WHIP, 7.77 K per 9. But then the xFIP up at 4.18, 1.97 BABIP. And then last, but certainly not least, Robbie Ray, 33 1/3 innings pitched, 4-0 record, 1.05 ERA, 1.27 WHIP, K per 9, 6.48. And then again, the xFIP is a little inflated, 4.85, 1.82. So I'm going to toss this over to you, and I would like to establish that just because these pitchers are on this list doesn't mean, I think they stink or that they're going to implode. I simply think that their stock price right now is a little inflated. There's some regression around the corner, and if you want to be the savvy manager that is hoisting the trophy at the end of the year, these are some guys that you could consider flipping to then profit down the road. So, Zom, I know you have your opinion on a few of these. What are your thoughts on these 3 sell-high pitchers?
Well, I want to talk about Trevor Rogers. So, Trevor Rogers, over his last 4 starts in ESPN, 25.7, 22.3, 13.5, 10.6. So, kind of where I'm thinking about this is 2 runs over his last 24 and a third, 0.74 ERA. Season ERA is now down to 4.48. Yeah, not great, but it was at 6.96 after his May 24th start. So he's trimmed over almost 2.5 runs off of his ERA over the last handful of starts. Last year he pitched, if you remember, the dazzling 1.81 with 18 games started for the Orioles. Looks like he's starting to regain form a little bit. It's like we mentioned before, the AL is pretty much wide open. I mean, they're I don't want to say they're sinking fast, but I saw something today, I forget who put it out on X, where they see them being a soft seller at the deadline. So, not necessarily trying to bolster themselves, probably being realistic, looking in the mirror, saying, hey, we have the 2 best teams in the AL in our division. It's probably going to be tough to make the playoffs here. I mean, Trevor Rogers has not been great, but if you have held him, you've been rewarded at least over the last 4. He looks like he's regaining form a little bit here. I am, in a 20-team league, I'm not willing to sell him at this moment just because pitching is such at a premium. I mentioned before the injuries. At this juncture? I would say shout out to Bo at this juncture that, knowing that, my pitching staff consists of Kyle Harrison and Brandon Woodruff right now. I'm going to have to hold Trevor Rogers and just kind of ride this wave out and hope that he continues to pitch. Hey, and listen, I don't know what the contract situation looks like. It could be intriguing for a contender right now. Trevor Rogers going to maybe a better team, stacking up more W's, stacking more points. Hey, it's definitely possible. So, listen, we hope the best for Trevor. Selfishly, I hope that, he goes the rest of the way. As a top 25, top 30 pitcher in the league, that would go a long way for the horse doctor, DVM, to sneak in with some points here for the playoff, Sean. So those are really the only thoughts I have on Trevor Rogers. I think just historically speaking, Robbie Ray has always been a high walk kind of guy, a little volatile. Can't really count on him all that much. 4-0, 1.08. Wow, you're telling me for the first time. I was not under the impression that he has been that good over the last month or so. Giant stink. I don't know what his contract's like either. I should probably do the research on that before we start talking here, but maybe Robbie Ray gets shipped out. If he gets shipped out to a team who wins games, who has good run support, maybe he is somebody you want to eye up on the receiving end of it, to be honest with you. High strikeout guy, but also a high walk guy as well. So
I'm looking at Robbie Ray's contract right now. He is a free agent after this season. He's making $25 million a year currently for the Giants. So maybe if they do deal Robbie Ray, maybe the Giants sweeten the offer as far as what's left on the tab. But I could see the Pirates being interested in Robbie Ray. But then the numbers we were providing, they're on a hot streak right now. But when you look at big picture for the season, Eduardo Rodriguez's ERA is 2.29, but the xFIP is 4.53. I trust the xFIP over ERA, so that supports my theory that some regression is ahead for him. Same deal with Robbie Ray. For the season, the ERA is 3.38, which is sturdy. That's healthy. 8 wins, but the xFIP 4.90. So. Again, none of these pitchers are quote unquote bad. I just think it could be worth exploring on trying to flip them for a profit for the stretch run. And then Zom, we've got 2 hitters here, 2 that we're familiar with. Very surprised to see one land on the list. Mr. Drake Baldwin, the catcher of the Atlanta Braves, who we've talked about at nauseum. We're big fans, and he's going through a stretch right now. So since June 15th, a month ago, 103 plate appearances, 154 batting average, OPS. Yikes! This is not good. 4.72, 2 home runs, 8 RBIs, 10 runs, and 0 stolen bases. And I'll just go into our second hitter quickly, and then we'll talk about them both. Vlad Guerrero of the Toronto Blue Jays, 99 plate appearances, 211 batting average, 606 OPS, 3 home runs, 14 RBIs, 12 runs scored, and only 2 stolen bases. So, Zom, I want to start with Drake Baldwin. We spotlighted him coming into the year. We were high on him. We were looking smart for a long time. He dealt with an injury. He's come back from said injury. We have 103 plate appearance here of sample size in the OPS 472. Are you worried about Drake Baldwin, or would you like to buy low on Drake Baldwin?
I'm going to propose a trade to the hologram as we speak. No, I like Drake Baldwin. I like him a lot. We've highlighted him, I think, in our early season preview. I think he was a mainstay on a few segments since then as well. No, I think what he's going through right now is a microcosm of what the entire Atlanta Braves starting lineup. I mean, I know Matt Olson's gotten a little bit hot here lately after I traded him, but they haven't really been doing a whole heck of a lot. I think the loss of Acuna really does impact that entire lineup. I think he's just kind of fallen victim here to some year 2 stuff where, maybe the tape outs, maybe they're figuring out, where the holes in the swing are. I have faith that he'll adjust. I think the pedigree's certainly there for him. But yeah, he's certainly going through a rough patch here. The 472 OPS is stunning. That is a stunning number. The 154 average, not good. But no, I think...
I swear those are not Henry Davis's numbers. That's Drake Baldwin, not Henry Davis. Actually, that was a low blow. Henry's been all right lately.
Yeah, sure. I like Drake Baldwin. I think he'll figure it out. I think he has the tools. I think he will have the line of protection. I think it's just one of those slumps. 100 plate appearances though in the last month with those kind of numbers. It is alarming. But I would say don't panic with him.
Yeah, I agree. We've been thorough with Drake Baldwin, big fans. I think this is an opportunity to buy low. Same with Vlad Guerrero. Zom, we've talked about him. I traded him away in Dynasty, which is starting to look smart. He doesn't like to hit the ball over the fence. Like
where's the power? Where's the power at?
Well, I think if you'd even go to like some, obviously there's probably not tons of interviews with him, but I think his approach is he's not looking to hit the ball at the ballpark. He is a doubles off the wall kind of guy. He takes his walks, and yeah, he doesn't get air under the ball, and that affects fantasy. But man, the 606 OPS from 615, the stock is low right now. So if you want to root for Vlad and you're a Vlad fan, I'd say now's the time to try to acquire him because he's at his floor here right now. So it can't get any lower unless knock on wood, unless he were to get hurt. But so the arrow should be pointing up for Vlad Guerrero. Prime opportunity to buy low.
Go shopping on the clearance rack, right?
That's exactly right. That's what this says here. That's what this says. Zami, we got 2 players here on the waiver wire, and then we can land the plane with a few thoughts on the Pirates here as we approach the restart from the All-Star break and the trade deadline. But as far as waiver wire, the one hitter, Pittsburgh Pirates' own outfielder Esmerlin Valdez, which I think he has the best nickname going right now, the Magician. I want Greg Brown, I want the saying to be, for my next trick, I'll make this ball disappear. The Magician puts it into the Allegheny. That'd be cool. So 70 plate appearance. This is from 626 to support Mr. Valdez because he's been incredibly hot since 626. 70 plate appearances, 393 batting average, 1.342 OPS. And Zummy, I don't have the rest of it. I think it's, how many home runs does he have?
10.
I don't know. 10 dingers. So he's been incredible since getting called up for the second time from the minors, and I think he is absolutely here to stay. I think he's going to be a fixture in the Buccos lineup, and he plays a decent right field, has decent speed on the base pass. As Merlin Valdez, only 35% owned out there on the waiver wires. Zums, any thoughts on the Magician for the rest of the season?
I have thoughts. So I was at the doubleheader on Saturday, game one of the doubleheader, and we sat in the first row in right field. So we were having some nice chats in between innings with Es Merlin. That was before and after he hit home run number 1 and grand slam, which was home run number 2 in game one there. I mean, I saw something the other day, and I'm just gonna cite it here. So he's had 105 plate appearances. He is slashing 309, 371, 713. That's a 1.084 OPS with 21 runs, 29 hits, 6 doubles, 1 triple, 10 home runs, 27 RBIs. He is 22 years old and 166 days. Now, Sean, get this: versus Yordan Alvarez at the age 22 and 23 day mark. Yordan Alvarez, 124 plate appearances, 327, 403, 682 with a 1.085 OPS, so identical. 18 runs, 36 hits, 9 doubles, 10 home runs, 32 RBIs. Yes, I mean, pretty much right in line with what Yordan Alvarez is doing. Now, I think this is a fun little exercise just to kind of give 162 game pace projection. So we're going to use the 5.8 multiplier that we have in line here, which would equate to, over the course of an entire season for young as Merlin, 58 home runs, 122 runs, 156 RBI, 168 hits, 35 doubles. I mean, again, even if you discount that, to 80%, I don't have that number in front of me. I would take 75% of that. 75% of what he's doing right now would make him a perennial all-star, mainstay fixture in this lineup. And what he does for the lineup is incredible. Like, it makes having the conversation about once Horwitz and O'Neal Cruz and Endy come back, like this team, this number of runs that they're scoring and the best offense in baseball, this isn't a farce. What they're doing right now is dynamic. They have the players to do it. They have the depths unlike anything that we've seen. And once those 3 guys come back, you got some decisions you got to make, and they're really, really good decisions to have to make. I think he has been absolutely incredible. He has me riding extremely high on the Buccos right now after being so down on them prior to the All-Star break. I think this 3-game series against Milwaukee did wonders for my mental health and my psyche regarding this team, and I can't wait till we get to the Bucco roundup in a little bit.
Yeah, the Magician is awesome. He's got legitimate light tower power. He had the home run he hit to center field was 462. It was the longest home run for a rookie since at PNC Park since Judge did it. He's got serious power. He hits to all fields. I really don't think this is just a flash in the pan. I think this is a ball player, and it's awesome because you can't have too many corner outfielders, and he should be our guy out in right field for quite some time. So awesome to see from the Magician as Merlin Valdez. And then the one pitcher we have highlighted here on the waiver wire, I know Zummy is proud of this right-hander, and his ownership should skyrocket here very quickly. That is Logan Henderson of the Milwaukee Brewers, the right-handed pitcher, only 25% owned. Not very surprising because somewhat of an unknown coming into this year. Showed a lot of promise, and he had an injury. Just returned from the IL on July 9th against the Cardinals, where he went 5 1/3 inning pitched, 3 earned runs, 1 walk, 4 Ks in the win. And then, Zom, when you look at the season stats, everything looks good. 28 1/3 innings pitched, 3-1 record. ERA is at 3.18, WHIP just below 1 at 0.99, K per 9, 10.80, in the XFIP, which we all know is the truth of source of truth, I should say, 3.28. on the XFIP. Zom, I know you own Logan Henderson. The 25% ownership is low to me. We want to see that get up over 50%. Thoughts and opinions on Mr. Henderson?
I think he. I mean, I don't check the stats on him because I own him, and I don't know, ownership trends over the last week or two, but I expect those numbers to go through the roof. Like we mentioned before, and I've mentioned it ad nauseum, Kyle Harrison, Brandon Woodruff on the IL, Robert Gasser and Brandon Sproat just overall not very good in my opinion. The Miz dealing with some fatigue. Logan Henderson will have a shot to stay in that rotation. He will be in there. The only thing that really concerns me with him is that they seem to be very, very careful with him about like 5 innings pitched and then kind of getting him out. So I don't know if they're watching that limit right now. I haven't heard them explicitly say that he's on an innings limit or anything along those lines. But they're going to be in a race here, and I don't expect Milwaukee to continue running away with this division. So they're going to need Logan Henderson to pitch some innings. So I expect that to go up. I expect him to lead him in the game longer. I expect him to pick up wins, obviously, being a Brewers pitcher. And I just trust the system. I trust the Brewers system to develop pitchers and do with, I'm not saying he's not a talented guy, but they squeeze the most out of every pitcher that they have up there for the most part. So I trust Logan Henderson. Like I said, I own him. He was traded for early on as part of an O'Neill Cruz deal. I have held on to him. I actually think I dropped him, Sean, for a while, and I picked him back up a month or two later. So fortunately, I was ahead of the curve on that one as well. But yeah, big fan of Logan Henderson. Hope that his stock continues to rise, and he should definitely not be sitting out there on the wire at this point.
Yeah. All right. Good stuff. Hope these few waiver wire ads, as well as the word on Wall Street, hope you can take that information and improve your ball club. And then, Zummy, as we land this plane, this is all off script, off the noggin, some Bucco banter. As we know, it is an absolute roller coaster being a fan of this team. Oh, look, we have the most runs scored in all of Major League Baseball. Somehow we don't get one All-Star voted in, and we are I think we're third now in the division. Just a few games out of the wild card, and then the trade deadline approaching. So lots of moving parts with the Pirates right now. Where do you want to start, Zom?
All right, so I was, like I said, I mentioned I was at the Brewers game 1 on Saturday. They passed the eye test for me more than anything. It's the lineup configuration. It's guys having career years. It's all kind of going right at the same time right now. And again, like if I look at them collectively in terms of league rank, they are first in batting average, Sean. First in batting average, second in on base, first in runs, sixth in home runs, third in slugging. They are arguably a top 3 offense in all of baseball right now. And I think with the reinforcements of Horowitz and O'Neill Cruz coming back, I think that you have the ability to get very creative with that lineup day in and day out. You're not throwing scrubs in there like Triola. You have options at this point in time where you can actually do things, and you're not putting out Sunday lineups where you're basically conceding the game before the first pitch is thrown. I like what they're doing. I think they're, the only one thing working against them right now is the number of teams that are fighting for those wild card spots right now, because the Pirates right now are fourth. They're fourth in their division right now. Yeah. And they're competing with Miami. I mean, is Miami the real deal? They had a fantastic June. I think they were the best team in baseball in June. I don't know that I take them seriously. We saw what the Pirates could do against the Nationals. I don't trust that pitching staff over there. So I'm not worried about those two teams per se. But you're talking about teams like, you're talking about the Cardinals. They always just do things the right way. You're talking about the Cubs. You're going to be talking about the Phillies or the Braves. Maybe both. You're going to be fighting with those teams as well. The NL West doesn't concern me. I think San Diego's dropping off. I think the Giants stink. I think the Rockies stink. Like it is with Arizona, maybe, but I don't really trust what they're doing either. So you're going to be one of maybe 3 or 4 teams that has to get in and start making moves here. And 83 got in last year, Sean. So I think it's certainly possible. The schedule lightens up a little bit. They definitely have some winnable series here in the second half as we look forward to this. But let's put it this way: Skeens needs to be Skeens. You need Ashcraft to come back. I think they need to get another starter in that rotation. I do not trust Bubba Chandler. I do not trust Mitch Keller. I would love to see them trade for Mason Miller. I'd like to see them get a high leverage 7th or 8th inning guy as well. Then I think you just take your chances. I think you owe it to the team for what they've done so far. And let's face it, I I can identify 7 or 8 games easily that they should have won. And people might say, well, yeah, every team can say that, blah, blah, blah. But, like, no, games that were in the bag that had, like, less than 1% chance of loss probability where they ended up losing the game. So they're 50-47 right now. They very well could be 57-40. Talking about competing with the Milwaukee Brewers right now being a runaway playoff team at this very moment if just the simplest things would have gone right. I'm not in an if-then, you know. You can't say it, you can't be that way, and I get annoyed when people talk like that. So, like, I'm gonna try to ease back on that a little bit. But, like, the offense is not fake. Right now, what we're seeing is objective. It's the truth. It's what we have. Again, the guys that are having career years, all putting it together at the same time. New resurgences from the Wizard has been, or the Wizard. I'm gonna call him the Magician. I'm gonna call him the Wizard. I'm gonna call him the Wizard.
Yeah, there you go, the Wizard of Pittsburgh.
The Wizard of Pittsburgh. So, like, everything's working right now. They need to shore up the bullpen. I think we all acknowledge that. It's not even local. It's national. Everybody acknowledges that the bullpen stinks. We whiffed on the bullpen, but now's the time to make it right. I think we need to get ahead of the curve and make the bullpen right. That's what I think.
Yeah, and I think there's one person that we need to focus on, and it's not a player. It's GMBC Ben Cherington, because in the 4 major sports, right? Basketball, football, hockey, baseball. This is the one sport where you can trade for a player. You could trade for 8 players and plug them all into your baseball team, and the next day you can play them in theory, because it is not a X's and O's sport. It is a see ball, hit ball, see glove, throw to glove sport. So what I'm getting at is Ben Cherington is fighting for his job. Everyone last year wanted him gone with Shelton, with Derek Shelton. Everyone, I think that was obvious that it was kind of a natural decision to make. You fire the coach, the GM goes with him. Somehow he survives, right? So, like, the last few days I've been thinking, someone that's under, like a raccoon, right? Someone that's under attack or backs up against the wall, they tend to lash out, or they tend to act aggressively, right? I think that's the word, because it's time for Ben Cherington to throw the chips in the middle. We have Brandon Lau. This is going to be the only season we have Lau. He's not coming back, and I don't want to trade him. A lot of folks have been, why don't you deal with Lau and try and get, help the bullpen, et cetera, et cetera. I want Lau for the postseason push to be hitting home runs and playing second base or DH. So it's obvious, Sami, how to improve this ball club, and it's establishing a real, true 9th inning closer to then supplement your 8th, 7th, and then the bulk rolls, right? So if just let's have fun here for a second, because the Red Sox are hot. They've been winning. It's starting to look like they're going to probably make a push in the second half. So Chapman could be unavailable. The obvious guy to look to is Mason Miller with the San Diego Padres. Now, the catch side is it would take quite a bit of prospect, stock and equity in order to pry him away, because he is lights out. But that is a World Series winning move to go get Mason
Miller. But Seth Hernandez, and I'm good with it. I don't care how many you put together. I don't care about prospects anymore outside of Seth Hernandez. I don't.
Yes, and then we've talked about it a little bit, because to get a guy like Mason Miller, it is going to sting. Whenever the Padres acquired Mason Miller from the Athletics, they gave up Leo DeVries, who is now like 1 or 2 prospect in all of MLB Pipeline.com.
That's fine.
So it would take a guy like an Edward Florentino, or I've been floating around the idea of Bubba Chandler. Like, and then that kind of naturally leads to, well, Mitch Keller hasn't been good, and so you can't really afford to lose Chandler, which is true. But you could always acquire another starting pitcher. Those are always traded at the deadline, so you could replace him. And like you improve your team overnight, instantly, when you slot in Mason Miller into the 9th inning. You let Soto get the 8th. and then Montgomery, Ramirez can take the 7th.
That's a change that you can feel. That's a change that you can feel right away.
Top to bottom, it makes your ball club better. Everyone gets excited. You win at the ticket office. You bring the hometown kid, Mason Miller, back to Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I think I mean, that's number one on my wish list. I would love for them to even shop and go for an 8th inning guy too. I would like an 8th and a 9th inning guy traded for at the deadline. I don't trust Soto. I would like to have him in the 7th. I trust him more than Montgomery. And then, that's what I would do if it was possible. But I would not be afraid of packaging prospects together, even major league ready guys. I don't want to trade Lau either. We're not going to sign him, but again, he's the big bopper in the lineup as well. So I don't necessarily like not getting anything back from him in return. But if this is a 1-year thing for us right now, hey, ride with him and just kind of see where things go. I think you owe it. I think you owe it to the team to show hey, when we get to the 9th, this game's nails. Game's over. Locked down. We're not worried about it. Me, you, and I, if it's within 3 runs, we're pins and needles in the 9th because we just don't know what to expect. And you can't.
Absolutely.
You're not a good ball club. You're not taken seriously if you don't have a guy who can close the game out for you.
Yeah. If I'm Ben Cherington, I'm getting aggressive. I'm going all in because you have Brandon Lau on the great deal. The trade is looking awesome. With the Mike Burrows trade, that's looking lopsided for the Pirates. You have Paul Skeens, why you can afford him. You have a lot of young talent. The time is right now, Zum, and they did make one trade, Isard and Jacob Rodriguez, and so they're starting. They flipped the comp pick, so that is a sign of good faith that they are pushing their chips in on this season. But I want more, and I want Mason Miller. So Zombie, why don't you do us the honors to take us home here?
Yeah, so I know I always have a little thing to share at the end of each of these, and I think I don't want to say that we've been hesitant or reluctant to incorporate the faith aspect of this journey into the show. I think originally, Sean, when we were workshopping this, we were pretty heavy on the faith idea and intertwining it and getting it mixed in, but we didn't want to alienate people. But I'm not afraid to speak about this right now because given the events of the last 2 weeks or so with my dad passing. I just been having a heck of a time dealing with it, and I try to get out in nature. I try to go for walks and runs and things like that. And Sean, I've shared this story with you, so anybody who else wants to be the beneficiary of listening to this will get to hear the story as well. I'm walking on the trail, and I have a nice 6-mile path that I go walk run combination, and I find myself the day before his viewing, just meditating and praying and just hoping to know that he was okay and wanting to see visual proof that my dad was okay and he was in a better place, because I was just having a very difficult time with the closure aspect of it. And I get to the 3-mile mark, I turn around, and typically on my way back I'm 1 foot in front of the other, kind of just head down, not really wanting to talk or communicate with a lot of people that I see on the trail. And so, Sean, I'm about a half mile away from finishing up this 6-mile walk run combination. And something tells me to look up, And Sean, I was asking for a sign. I was asking for visual proof. I didn't want to see a cardinal fly across my path because hey, we're in nature. Cardinals are out there. It happens. That wouldn't do it for me. I didn't want to see a cloud formation with my dad's face in it. That wouldn't do it for me either. All of that stuff is very, very okay. It takes a lot to kind of get me to that point. So I'm I need visual proof that my dad's okay. So I'm walking, and I see a guy approaching me from maybe 20, 30 yards out. He's walking 2 dogs on a leash. So, okay, I put my head down. I start walking again. I walk by this guy. We lock eyes from about 10 yards out, and it is my dad's face from when he was my age. Healthy, young, vibrant, and healthy. I could not paint you a clearer picture of what my dad looked like than what was seen in that man when he walked past me. And I had asked for it no more than 5 minutes before it happened. It gave me chills. It got me to the point where I was walking, and I continued walking, and I had to stop in a Hollywood-type moment, had to turn around and be did that just happen? What I saw, did that just happen? And it did. It was him. It was my dad. He showed me my dad in that moment. It restored a ton of my faith. It made me feel at ease that he was at a better place as well. So I just wanted to share that with people who care to listen, who want to acknowledge that, there are things out there that are bigger than us. We're doing this for fun. This is a good time. But I think now, if not now, when? would we possibly incorporate a story of, good faith in a situation like this? So I hope people enjoyed that story. It certainly helped me, and it lent credence to the fact that, obviously we're not alone, and we can lean on higher things and friends, especially Sean. So I did appreciate you showing up to my dad's viewing as well. You've been a great friend throughout the process, and from there, I'm just going to say, God bless you. God bless the troops as always, and anything you want to close with.
This has been Good Faith and Fast.